All right, so thank you everybody for joining today. We're going to be talking about PowerPoint. We're going to start by just looking at this PowerPoint. This has already been created for us by the folks over there at North Star. And you can see that this PowerPoint here is about elephants, right? You can see that there's multiple pages over here on the left. This is our working area right here. Up here in the top, we have the ribbon. The ribbon is where you can select different options here as far as the home tab or the insert tab. You have a lot of different options to choose from. Draw, design, transition. So a lot of different things that you can choose from over here on the different tabs and working in the ribbon that I want to share with you guys. But normally we're working in the home ribbon and probably over here in the insert ribbon somewhere is where we're going to be working, okay? Let's see here. All righty. So just to start off, I just wanted to just cruise through. Here we're looking at slide 2. Notice that when I click over here on the left, I can choose which slide I want to edit. The one that you have the red square around here is going to be the one that you can edit. So you can go in and you can change things, you can move things around, etc. You can come here and add some words. You can fix some, different spelling and things like that. And so, again, I just want to show you here on page number 3 or slide 3 rather. We have the option to look at and see that there's some photos here. So they added a photo of an elephant. They added a map over here. And then down here, they have some different words. So it's a really nice presentation. Again, with PowerPoint, most of the time you're presenting to an audience, maybe in a online setting, or maybe you're doing it over Zoom, or maybe even in person. So oftentimes you don't want to have too much data on your slides. You want to really make sure that you get some photos on there, there's some color, something that makes it easy to look at, and you don't want too much information. So notice they only really have 2 bullet points on here, because the speaker is really going to be expanding on these different bullet points here. These are just here pretty much talking points for the speaker that's going to be doing the work. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start up a presentation today. Today, we are primarily going to be working on a couple different skills that we haven't looked at yet. And those are things like how to insert your own text box. So this is like a text box here. So normally in some of the layouts, it'll create a text box for you, but sometimes you just want to make your own text box and you want to place it wherever you want it in the slide. So we're going to look at how to do that. We're also going to look at how to insert photos like the ones that you see here, photo of elephant. You have a map over here on the right. So we're going to look at how to do those things. We're also going to look at sizing your photos and also your text box, because do you want a slide that has an elephant that big, or do you want one this big? Normally you want it to be decent enough for them to see, but not so big that it takes up the entire slide. So we'll make sure to cover how to size your pictures and your text boxes. And then we'll also just talk about how to organize all of that on your slide to make sure that you have the best presentation available for the folks that are checking you out. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this one up here. And the easiest way to close, you can either go File and you can hit Close here. But most people are going to just hit the red X in the top right. And if you hit that, it just closes right out. If you have a PowerPoint presentation on your desktop, or you ever see you see this icon here that says, it's like a P. Over here, it also tells you, and this is in File Explorer, so this is typically where you keep most of your items at. Let's see, sorry about that. Let me make sure I just share my screen. Okay, and so right here where it says elephants, this is, sorry, let's see, let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay, so right here where it says elephants, this is where you can just double click elephants here, and it opens up your presentation. Again, you can close it, and it tells you that this is a Microsoft PowerPoint presentation just over here. But it also, if you see the red kind of P right there, that tells you that it's also going to be a PowerPoint presentation. Let's see if I have any on my desktop. I do not. I have a Microsoft Word. I have an Excel. I have some PDFs. But oh, here's a PowerPoint right here. So if I double click that, double left click, it will open up my PowerPoint presentation. This was a fun one, actually. I actually made this PowerPoint to show my kids who all of their cousins and uncles and aunts were when we were back in Florida a couple months ago, because they were just confused on who everybody was. So I just wanted to make it simple for them. So I made a PowerPoint link diagram to show them who everybody was. It was a lot of fun. All right. So with that, I want to go ahead and just start up our presentation for today. Our first presentation, we are going to be working on making a slideshow. It's going to have 4 different slides on our slideshow, and we're going to be making a presentation about a country. I'm going to make mine about my wife's country of origin. She's from the Dominican Republic. I love it there. The beaches are beautiful. If you ever have a chance to go visit, I would encourage you to go. It's a beautiful place, lots to do, and beautiful beaches and everything. Just the music, the food, everything is wonderful. So I'm going to make our presentation about that. My first slide is going to be my title slide, where I'm just going to put Dominican Republic. My next slide will have the flag. Then we'll have a map of the area. We'll talk a little bit about the food. And then we'll also have a slide for the capital city. So those are a couple things that we're going to end up working on here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up PowerPoint. To open up PowerPoint, if you have a Windows computer or a PC, you can always start down here in the left. Hit this little window. And oftentimes you'll already have a button here for PowerPoint, which you can just single click with one single left click. If you don't see it, to see if it's on your computer, you can always just type it in right here. You can just start typing it. You don't even have to complete typing it, just put in power. And it'll pull up anything that has power, any programs that have the word power in it. And we have PowerPoint. So I'm just going to go ahead and click it. And it opens up here. And today, there are a lot of different default presentations here, but for the purposes of today, I'm just going to go ahead and do a blank presentation. Okay, so there we go. So the first thing I want to do is I actually want to choose a theme for mine. So I want to choose something that just reminds me of the beach and it's really nice. So I'm going to go up here to home, go to click over to insert and then draw and then design. Here under design, notice that as I move my mouse over these various themes, I'm not clicking, I'm just moving my mouse over them, and it's giving me a preview of what it's going to look like if I choose this option. Over here, you'll notice there's also a down arrow. So there's more options here that I can use for my presentation, more themes. I'm going to go ahead and choose and let's see, Dominican Republic. Let's see. I want to just choose this one for now. Okay. And then right here it says click to add title. So I'm going to just put in Dominican Republic. And I'm just put my name. Notice this is a text box here. If I wanted to move this text box around, I just need to go to the edge here. So if I go to the edge anywhere here, you see that I get that black plus sign. If I get that black plus sign when I get to the edge, you won't get it over here. If you get it over here, you see it turns into that double-sided arrow. That allows you to make the text box bigger or smaller. If you get on any of these little white bubbles and you click and you hold, you can make the text box bigger, you can make it smaller, etc. But if you want to move the text box, you just need to go to one of the edges. You'll get the black plus. Once you click and hold now you can move the entire box around. Okay. I'm gonna actually look over here on the side and see if there's any themes that I like also. I actually like this one. I'm gonna go with this just to change it up a little bit. There we go. So Dominican Republic by me. So this is the theme that I'm going to go with. You'll notice that as I make new slides, it will maintain this theme, this color scheme, or per se, throughout the presentation, just for consistency purposes, which is really nice. So that's my first slide there. To insert a new slide, let's go up here to insert on our ribbon. So I went to the insert menu, and I'm just going to do new slide. and I'm going to do blank slide. So notice that under new slide, we didn't just click new slide. I hit the down arrow under the option for new slide. It gives me the options on how I want that new slide to be formatted. So I could format it as a title slide, which is what we just did. Title with content, a section header, a comparison to content. Again, I'm just going to do blank for the purposes of this one. So there we go. Let's see. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and insert the title here. And I'm going to just say the flag, the country flag. And that's not very big. I want that to be bigger. I want it to, really stand out. So I'm going to come up here. And again, I've got my area selected. There's two ways to increase your font. You can either select the actual words themselves, or you can just select the entire text box by clicking on the outside portion of it. It'll make it solid. Notice here, I'll just zoom in a little bit. Sorry, hold on. Let's insert. So text box, country flag. Notice that it is kind of a dotted line here when you're editing the text. If you want to edit all of the text, not just where your cursor's at. So if you wanted to make all of this bigger, you can just click the outside box of the text box. Notice that that line turns solid. Now we can just come up here to the ribbon. And again, we're under the home ribbon. And we can just hit increase, increase, increase. This option here is to increase font. So I'm just going to make it nice and big. And then I'm going to grab it and I'm going to move it towards the center. Do you see what happens when I move it towards the center right there? You see that red line, that red dotted line that comes right down the middle? What that's telling me is that right there, if I move it, it goes away. But right there, if I let go, the word country flag will be centered on this page, centered from left to right. So I'm going to let go because that's exactly what I want. I want it to be centered. So that's perfect. And now we want to go find the country flag for the Dominican Republic. So let's do that. So I'm going to go up to insert, and we have a lot of options here. We already used new. We already used insert text box. There are a lot of fun things you can insert. You can insert word art if you want like special characters that look like that. But we are going to insert a picture. And from the picture menu here, there's three options. You can insert a picture that maybe there's a picture you saved directly to your device. You can insert from there. You can insert stock images, which are just professional images that someone has sold to Microsoft, and they make them available to you to use in your presentations. Or you can use online pictures, which gives you a much broader library of professional photos to choose from. So I'm going to go ahead and do online photos. And then I'm just going to type in the name Dominican Republic. And let's see what we get. Republic. And hit enter. And I've got lots of cool choices here. See this? So I've got photos of the beach. I've got the flag. I've got like a seal here. Notice as I scroll down, it continues to load additional photos and pictures. And I think it'll just kind of keep going for a while there. So I am going to go ahead and choose, let's see, let's find a good one. Let's see. I'm going to just choose this one right here. And notice it puts a check mark there when I select it. So you can actually choose multiple photos if you want to insert multiple. I just want to insert the one photo of the flag for now. So I've got one check mark, and notice it says insert one. If I click multiple, now it says insert three. But we just want the one because we just want the flag for now. So I'm going to hit insert. And there you go. You got your country flag. And then I just moved it down again. If you wanted to shrink the flag because it was too big, you could always just grab it in this left-hand corner. Well, I'm sorry, this left-hand corner, you could grab it and shrink it. You can do the same thing, grab it, move it outward. You can stretch it out to make it wider or to make it skinnier. And you can do the same thing from the top. You can make it shorter, make it taller. So you have a lot of options there. Once you see this, again, this plus sign, as my mouse is over the flag, again, if I just click and hold, I can move it around. until I get it where I want it. And I'm just going to leave it right there. That's perfect right there. And then I click off just to see what it's going to look like. Looks pretty good to me. I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next slide. So again, how do we make a new slide? We just want to go with new slide right here. And I'm going to again go with blank. And then again, we want this slide is going to be a map. So I'm going to go to insert. I'm going to go to photos, online pictures, and I'm going to again put in Dominican Republic. And this time we want a map. So I'm just going to click that map. There we go. So I've got my map, and now I need to add a title slide. So I'm just going to, or a title to the slide rather, sorry. To do that, there's a couple different ways. Again, I showed you earlier how to insert a text box. So I'm just going to do that for this purposes. So let's go with map of the Dominican Republic. And again, let's bring it over to the center. And then let's make sure that we increase that font, get it nice and big and centered. And you could actually even change the color here. So I'm going to just go with maybe, oh, I don't know. Let's go with blue, something like that. Okay. And so that is our second slide. And let's go with that. Okay. So we've got our 3 slides now. So our first slide says, Dominican Republic. This is our title slide. We have a country flag. We've got map of the Dominican Republic. I'm going to make one more slide. I just hit Control M. That's a little bit of a shortcut. Instead of having to go up and click and do that. Anytime you want to add a new slide, you can also on your keyboard just do hold down Control and hit M while you're holding down the Control button. And it'll add a new slide right after wherever you're at. So now I have my new slide. I'm going to go ahead and insert a photo of some food. So let's actually put in our title first, food. And let's make it a little bigger. And then let's come up here to insert, just like we've been doing, insert photos. And we're going to go with online photos. And once again, I'm going to put in mango, which is like a Dominican meal. Oh, that looks so good right there. This is like a Dominican breakfast, a typical Dominican breakfast. And it is just, it'll hurt you. It's so good. So this is it. So we got mango right here. I'm actually putting in 2 photos because I got excited. So I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. And notice that like I only see 1 photo. Where'd the other one go? Is it back there? Yes, it is. So again, now I need to get them both formatted. You can also use over here on the right, the designer. So I'm just going to actually click that and it just kind of cleans it up for me. All right. And get rid of this little box. So now I've got my 2 photos. So by the way, this is fried cheese. This is salami. And then mango is like it's chopped mashed plantain, which is like a potato. And it's just so delicious, so delicious. So it's like a potato with salami and fried cheese. And here you even see like the over easy egg, which is just amazing with some kind of pickled onions here. So yeah, fantastic food. So that's a normal breakfast there. That just got me really hungry, by the way, and I haven't had dinner. So y'all just bear with me. All right, the last one we're going to put here is a photo of the capital city. Let's actually go back and look on the map and see if we can see what is the capital city of Dominican Republic. It looks like it's Santo Domingo. And so we're going to come back here. I'm going to go insert, new slide, blank. I'm going to again do text box. Capital city. And we're going to insert, insert, insert. I'm going to use this background over here. Let's see. Yeah, let's go with capital city. And no, that background is kind of crazy. Let's go with this one. And I'm just going to move that up. And then I'm going to insert a photo. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool, actually. Look at that background. It's like a blurry video in the back. That's pretty cool. But we're not going to do that one this time. So I'm just going to delete this text box, and then I'm going to go find a map or a picture of the Santo Domingo. Again, online pictures, Santo Domingo. Here we go. And it looks like this is our photo of, I'm going to actually just do the beach. That looks nice. There we go. Just shrink it down a little bit. And there we go. And so now we have our presentation. It's done. We can see that we've got our titles on each page. We have our photos, really nice photos. It looks really good. So we have 5 slides. Now, let's say you said, you know what, I actually want to move capital city. So right after the map, that would kind of logically make sense, right? To bring the capital city in right after the map. So let's grab the capital city. So again, if you select the slide that you want to move in the order, because right now this is the order they're going to play in. If you grab this and you grab it by, again, holding down, so left clicking, holding down, and then we move up under number 3, release it. And now we've changed the order of the slides. So now we have the map, then we have the capital city, and then we have the food at the end. Okay. So that's how you organize. So again, if I wanted to move this one, I can move the flag around. I can move slide 1 around. This is where you can really organize your slides. Another way to do that, if you have a lot of slides, you can also come down here to the slide sorter right here at the bottom of my my window for PowerPoint. You see it has like 4 different little squares. So if I click that, you can also, so let's say you had like 20 or 30 slides or 100 slides, you had a long presentation, you could also move it around here, okay? So I'm going to go back to our normal viewing mode right here. And then the last thing I want to show you is just how to actually see what it's going to look like, your PowerPoint. So let's hit slideshow right here. There's a little button that looks like a slideshow. I'm just going to hit that and let's see what happens. So mine opened up in a new window. So I actually don't want that for the purposes of today. So I'm just going to go up here to slideshow. I'm going to do setup slideshow. This is where you can tell it, if you have multiple monitors, you can tell it what monitor you want it to display for the presentation. Or if you had, let's say, a projector and you had a laptop screen, you don't really want to project it to your laptop screen. You want the presentation to project to your projector. And so you can tell it that here. So I'm going to go ahead and it says, you know, multiple monitors, show slideshow monitor. I'm going to go ahead and click primary. And I'm not going to do presenter. Let's hit OK. Let's see what happens. Yeah, there we go. So now we're in presentation mode. Notice that it started at the back slide. If I use my keyboard and hit the up button, it'll go backwards. So it'll go up to the first slide. If I hit the down button on my keyboard, it'll advance the slide. So I'm just hitting the down button on my keyboard, advance, advance, advance. Once I get to the last slide, so this is now I'm empty. So it says at the top, end of slideshow, click to exit. So if I hit down one more time, it actually goes back to design mode where we are designing our slides. And so again, how do we get into presentation mode? We can click slideshow down here. I'm going to hit up, up, up. Just go back to the beginning. The other way to advance the slides is you can just use your mouse and you can just, as you do one left click, it'll advance to the next slide. So let's do one more left click. It advances to the map. One more left click. It advances to the capital city. One more takes me to the food. Another option for advancing or going backwards. So we've talked about using the keyboard. We've talked about using the mouse. You can also right click anywhere on the page and it'll bring up a lot of different options here. And one of the options is you can go next slide, previous slide, or last viewed slide. So you can go, or you can go even see all slides. That's interesting. And then you can choose the slide you want to go to. So again, right click, I can hit previous. Right click, I can hit next. I can hit next. So a lot of different ways to get around your PowerPoint presentation once you're in active presentation mode. Okay. So that's our first presentation that I wanted to show you guys was just, how to insert some text boxes. How do we insert photos? Again, if you wanted to insert a photo that was actually on your device, you would go photos and then device. And then you would just simply, most of the time, those are going to be under pictures. So again, I just select pictures here. And let's say I just want to add this one here of me and my family down in Oregon. So I would just select that picture and then hit insert. And it inserts that photo. Okay. Now let's say you don't want all of this extra background here. Maybe you just want the actual family here. There's an option if you come here and you see that there's a option here for crop up here in the top right. And again, we're under the picture format. So if you don't have the picture selected, you won't have that option menu up here for picture format. But once you click it, it gives you a second option for picture format. So you can hit crop here. And then you see these little borders show up on the outside of your photo. So if I click this border, if I left click this border and I bring it in, it will get rid of all that. And I can do it again here. So now I just have the photo of the family, and now I can expand that if I wanted that to take up more space on the page like that. Does that make sense, guys? Hopefully that helped. It's really nice feature because sometimes you have photo that has a little bit too much background like this one did. And if you really just want to be able to see the family, then you can just, use the crop function like we just showed here. Really nice function for being able to clean up photos and get rid of some of the extra stuff. I'm just going to click here and hit delete. And now that is our first presentation. So our second presentation we're going to do is one on animals. And it's going to use a lot of the same skills, but I just wanted to do a second example to demonstrate to you guys how we use inserting text boxes and also how we insert photos. So I'm going to go ahead and save this presentation as the Dominican Republic. To save your presentation, if you have this little disk button up top, you can always click that. I'm going to go ahead and use this function. And as I click it, it's going to say, well, where do you want to save it at? I want it to save it at my documents, so it's already there. And then what do you want to name it? File name, Dominican Republic. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit save right there. And then if I close out PowerPoint, and then I open up PowerPoint again, one of the nice features in PowerPoint and in all the Microsoft programs is that it actually shows you the most recent PowerPoints that you had. And so, and it's in reverse chronological order. So see here is my Dominican Republic. It says it was just modified. And then right below it is the family tree that I showed you guys. And that was 22 minutes ago. I showed that. And then we also have elephant presentation that I showed you 23 minutes ago. So with one click of a button, I can reopen any of those presentations. So again, I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. And then I'm going to open a new one. And I'm going to do blank. And over here, you see some different design options. Let's see. I'm just going to actually go with a design from our design menu. I'm going to go with this one. And I'm going to call this presentation Animals by Eric Hunter. So there we go. So now we have our menu. Let's see, it gave me a couple different options over here. Do we like any of those? Nah, I'm gonna stick with it. Animals isn't quite big enough for me though. I want it to be bigger. So I'm actually gonna move this up because I don't want it to be so close. I want to move my name down, get it out of the way. And now we're gonna make animals really big. So I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna go to the home ribbon. I'm just gonna increase that font quite a bit. So we have a lot of space. Well, let's take it up. Like we don't want a lot of blank space. That's one of the kind of the best practices in PowerPoint is to use the space that's available. People are viewing this. You don't want people squinching their eyes and trying to see what you're saying. You really want to make it easy on them to read your slides. So use the space available to yourself and use some big fonts. I'm going to go ahead and actually make that font red. I think that looks really nice. And now I'm going to go to the next slide. And our next slide, so we're going to have a slide about wolves. We're going to have a slide about dolphins and one on kangaroos. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next slide. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and do file and content. Now let's see actually if there's one that has a photo. Let's do this one. So this one has an option to add some text here, and it also has an option to add a photo over here. So I'm going to just type in here, wolves. Again, that's not big enough for me. I'm just going to make it bigger. Nice and big, use up the space that I got. And then I'm going to put some facts here about wolves. So notice that I clicked in, it already has that first bullet point there. So I can just type live in groups of 6 to 12 wolves. Hit enter, which is going to give me my second bullet point. Eat other animals, including deer, elk, moose, and bison. And then enter one more time, gives me my third bullet point. Live in many areas, including North America, Europe, and Asia. And then over here, we have an option to do a couple things. We can insert a table, insert a graph or a chart, but we want to insert that photo, right? So remember, let's go to pictures. Let's add a picture. Let's see here. These are stock images. I actually want to add a photo from the internet. So I'm just going to delete this. And then I'm going to go, just like we did in the previous presentation, to insert pictures, one-line pictures. And I'm going to just type in wolves. And hit enter. And it gives me a lot of cool options there. I'm going to just grab, let's see. I want to grab this guy here. Pretty cool. Notice over here does a little bit of formatting. It does sometimes try to design the presentation for you. You can definitely choose these over here. I'm just going to go ahead and size my own this time. I'm going to move it down, move it over so that people can see it. Always do want to keep the caption that gives credit to the person who took the photo or provided the photo. I always like to make sure I keep that there so that they get their credit. And so that's our slide there. Again, I think this is too small. Let's go into presentation mode. I still think that's too small. There's a lot of extra space here. So let's go back and let's actually make this bigger font. So 18. Let's go a little bit bigger, 26. Now let's hit presentation mode and see what that thinks. That looks a little bit better. There we go. All right. So I'm going to again put in Control M. And now I have the option to add my next slide. So I'm just going to go ahead and click here and I'm going to say dolphins. I'm going to add my text for dolphins. Most are around 10 feet long, live in oceans and rivers, and are intelligent and playful. Again, I'm going to make this text a little bit bigger. Just use up the space we have available. Make dolphins a little bit bigger. And then lastly, we want to insert that photo from online pictures. I'm going to go up. Let's go to dolphins. And lots of options for dolphins. I'm going to just select this one and hit insert. Really nice. Again, let's just shrink it down, make sure it doesn't take up all the slide. And now we have our slide to talk about dolphins. And then the last slide we're going to have here, I'm just going to hit again Control M. And we're going to make this one from scratch. So I'm going to delete these boxes. I'm actually going to just go to Layout and do blank. So it's going to get rid of those text boxes. So now we have a blank slate. And I'm going to insert the text boxes for this particular one. So I'm just going to go to Insert and then Text Box and click here. And we're going to go ahead and put in kangaroos this time. Let's go ahead and make sure we get that nice and big. Notice over here, it actually gave me some pretty cool formatting, didn't it? Let's select that one. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. So I'm just gonna make that up top there. So it says kangaroos. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. I like it nice and big. And then we also need to insert another text box for our bullet points because we're going to be talking about kangaroos. So I just went out to text box again, hit right here, anywhere on the slide. And as I start typing, let's see, lives in Australia and jump long distances and carry their baby in a pouch. So I wanted bullet points here though. So let's see what happens if we select this and then we just hit bullet points there. Oh, there we go. It added our bullet points for us. So very easily to do that. But again, they're kind of small. So let's just make that a little bigger. I'm gonna actually put a little bit of space in between each bullet point just to make it a little bit easier for our audience to read. So there we go. Just gonna shrink it down, make sure that we leave enough space for our photo on the right. So now I want a photo over here. So I'm going to last time, going to go to insert, going to go to pictures, online pictures, kangaroo, enter. A lot of options again. And I'm just going to select, which one do I want to go with? I like this one right here. That looks pretty cool. And actually, let's do two photos this time. Let's do that one and this one. So now see, I've selected two photos, this one here with the red and this one. So it says insert two. So I just go ahead and hit insert two and it gives me both. I'm going to shrink them and make space for them both on the slide. Now notice over here, it already did a really good job. So I'm just going to actually select this one. And it organizes it nice and pretty for me. Again, I'm going to increase my fonts just to make sure that you can see everything. And again, if you want to move something, you can always grab it on the outside once you get that black plus sign. Also, we know that we can increase photos by grabbing them on any of these circle edges here. So we got the circle edge. If I want to make this photo bigger, I can always do that. Do the same thing with any of these photos. Okay. But right now, everything looks pretty good. So let's go back to the slide one and let's watch our presentation. I'm going to go ahead and hit start slideshow. And so this would be slide one, your title slide. Normally your title slide is what you have up while folks are kind of walking in, they're getting themselves gathered. You haven't really started the presentation. So this is just maybe up on a projector or TV and you're waiting for the actual program to begin. Once everyone's ready, you can just click or again, use the right arrow and then you can start your presentation, right? So you start talking about wolves. Again, you only have bullet points because you don't want to have paragraphs of information on PowerPoint. It's going to be too much information. And you really just want to have those bullet points for folks to reference as you're going through and you're giving more detailed information about each one of these bullet points. So that's wolves. Here's your slide on dolphins. Looks really nice. And then in order to go to the next slide, this time I'm going to right click and I want to hit next. Here you have your slide on kangaroos. And then again, if you right click, you have a lot of options here. You can do pointer options. You can actually get a laser pointer. Under pointer options here, you can get laser pointer. And then you can use this. You can use your mouse to just kind of highlight things on the screen. Okay, really nice option. And then as you left click, nothing happens because you're using your pointer. But when you want to move on to the next slide, you can use your keyboard and just hit the right button. And that is our presentation again. So normally this is when you would release all, your audience and say, okay, we're done. Do you have any questions? If they have questions, you can always hit the back arrow and go back to any of your previous slides if you need to reference them. You can also, of course, still have your pointer up here. You have some other different pointer options. You can use a pen. So this is where you can actually like circle something on the slide. And this is live. So again, how did I get there? I right click on the screen. I went to pointer options. And you have a laser pointer option, a pen, or a highlighter. Let's try the highlighter. So I can just kind of highlight something also. Let's right click, go to pointer options. Here you can change the color of your ink that you use for your pen. Let's do erase all ink on slide. And it gets rid of the highlighter. It gets rid of the stuff that I had here. But you do have to come back to pointers options. And then we can just continue, and you can right click and hit next and then click. And that is your presentation. So that's our objectives for PowerPoint today. We learned some stuff. We learned about creating text boxes like we did here and adding our own bullet points in those text boxes. We talked about how to size your text box. We talked about how to move your text box. We also talked about sizing your photos, moving your photos, and we talked about how to insert photos from insert and then pictures, online pictures, and then just, again, typing in what you're looking for. Let's say we're looking for a car. Just select one of these cars, right, and hit insert, and you got yourself a car on your slide. And then how do you size that? Again, from any of these corners here. Anytime you get that double-sided arrow, you can always click and shrink it, or you can make it bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. How do we start a presentation? We can come down here and hit slideshow, and it'll go into presentation mode. Do we have any questions today? We covered quite a bit. We made some really cool looking slides. I think this is a really nice looking presentation. Again, to find the theme, just remember we went to design and then we went to theme. And remember, as you go over, it gives you kind of a sample of what that would look like. But I really like our theme, so I'm going to stick with the theme that we had already. Any questions from anybody?
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, this is JB also. To delete, so you just go to you just hit delete on the keyboard, or how do you delete it? Because you got a picture there like how the kangaroo pictures and stuff like that, and then you brought a car picture. So where do you go to delete? You just go on the keyboard or on the mouse.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for bringing that question up. So I have this photo, and let's say I want to delete it.
Yeah.
You can, once you select it. So again, you know it's selected because these little white buttons show up on the edges.
Mm-hmm.
So you have options. You can just, once you know it's selected, and you know that because you see these white buttons, you can just hit delete on your keyboard.
Okay.
Okay. Or you can always right click it,
Okay.
and you can do cut.
Okay. Cut.
Cut it. It's just
Thank you.
going to remove it from your slide also.
Right click. Cut. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Are you guys enjoying PowerPoint? I think you guys are, hopefully.
It's very nice. Anyway, today my friends there also. That's
Yeah,
nice.
good,
I
good,
really
yeah,
enjoy it. That's nice.
good. No, it's a really powerful tool, especially
Yeah.
if you're going to be like in front of people or you're going in any type of a teaching mode. And eventually everybody's going to end up having to do a PowerPoint. My kids are in school right now. My daughter's in fourth grade, my son's in sixth grade, and he's doing PowerPoint presentations. Like they're required to do this in class now because this is
That's
how people communicate and share ideas is through
that's
PowerPoint presentations or sometimes Google Slides, which is free if you have a Gmail account. And so that's something we'll also look at in a future class. But yeah, today was about PowerPoint. So hopefully you guys learned something, picked something up.
oh
Any
yeah.
more questions on anything?
It's clear. It's good.
Excellent. I'm glad. And I know Patrick learned something also. All right, guys. Well, sounds good. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording at this point, and I will make sure that this gets posted.